I did not expect my content to overlap this much this week. Typically, the things I talk about in What's Up in Makeup, which is what you're watching right now, it's my weekly makeup news show. Usually that stuff doesn't really overlap with the things that I do on Fridays, which are more of a deep dive into either something that's currently happening or something that happened in the past. But this week, my worlds collided when Tati Westbrook showed up on Michelle Phan's brand new podcast called Afterglow, and Tati spilled the tea. It was more than tea though. Like I hate to like even just dwindle it down to just tea, because it wasn't just tea. There was a little bit of tea, but some of it was very serious and very revealing and emotional. She talked about things in her past that were very dark that she'd never talked about before, and that is absolutely not tea, but also very interesting when you think about who Tati is as a person, who she presents herself to be, and the kind of content she creates, the things that she says, all of that. And she's extremely popular even still in our beauty space. So we're going to talk about that interview, what went down, and the things that we learned that were new. After that, we're going to talk about Golloria George, who had an interaction with Rhode Beauty and Hailey Bieber specifically in their new blushes. They've been out for a little while now, but Golloria tried them. They didn't work. And then there was an interaction between her and Rhode. So I'll talk to you about what happened there and how it all shook out. I also have a legal story this week that is really fascinating, especially if you're interested in fragrances, and even more especially if you are a Britney Spears fan or a Britney Spears fragrance fan. Things are going down over there. Oh my gosh, this is a story that you are going to want to hear. I also have a couple more stories to share with you, so if you're interested in any of that, hang tight. We're about to jump into it right now. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup, where we talk about everything that happened across the beauty industry all in one place. This is everything that happened this past week. I did all the research. I went to all the news outlets, and I'm going to summarize everything for you because I know you've got stuff to do, but this is my job. This is what I do. So I've got it all summarized for you, and if you would like to read more about the things that happened, links to all of the articles where I found this information are always in the description box down below. And if you're new here, hi! My name is Jen. It's so nice to meet you. Welcome. Let's go ahead and jump right into the story about Tati being on Michelle Phan's podcast. Because we've been following this podcast on What's Up in Makeup. We talked about it launching and about how we thought that maybe based on interviews, Michelle was going to talk about how she was accused of being part of a cult because she had said she had healed a man's legs with her mind, and it was a whole thing. Oh, we haven't gotten there yet, but we did get a very fascinating interview with Tati Westbrook. It is important to note that after Michelle's podcast went live, Tati did put a video up on her channel. It's called I'm Sober, This Is My Story, and it kind of builds off the things that she told Michelle in the slightly over an hour long interview. Basically, here is the sum up of what happened. Initially, right off the jump, Tati, it just seems like she had this building up in her that she wanted to tell her sobriety story, and she just drops it in the very beginning of the interview that Tati had been an addict and that she had overdosed twice and then gone to rehab.
It's so weird. I've wanted to share this story for so long, but when I was 26, I overdosed. And it was really, it was a moment in my life where I was just, in my mind, done with life. So it was 2 nights in a row. I went to the hospital the first night, came home, did it again the next night, survived, and decided to get help. So I knew at that point, I was like, wow, something's keeping me here on earth. I'm meant to be here. So I checked myself into rehab.
We later find out in the video that Tati uploaded to her own channel that she had overdosed on drinking too much alcohol. And Tati explains that when she's been asked in the past why she started her YouTube channel, she was never 100% about what that reason was, because the reason was really because she was in rehab. Tati then reveals that her birth name is actually not Tati or Tatiana, it's Tanya. That's the name that she was given at birth, and she was in in rehab, and she was telling the people that she was getting to know, she was getting close with them. She was telling them about when she was a kid, she used to act, and that she changed her name to Tatiana when she was this little actress. And the people in rehab actually were the ones that started calling her Tati. Also, while she was in rehab, they were given a period of time where they could be on their computers or their whatever they had. So she had this little laptop, and on that laptop, Tati would watch beauty videos. And in watching those beauty videos, she got the idea, watching Michelle Phan and possibly other creators, that she wanted to be a beauty creator herself. And the Tati that we know now was born.
In the middle of my healing, in the middle of actually getting the help I needed and in recovery, I found beauty videos and they helped me.
Wow.
And I learned how feeling beautiful can be so empowering to how you feel psychologically that I'd watch your videos and I'd write little lists. And, I had this like really crappy little teeny tiny computer that smaller than an iPad. And I'd sit back and watch all the beauty videos. And that first year of sobriety, I continued, I got a job at a beauty supply. So I was back in the beauty thing.
Yeah.
I'd watch videos at night and, I'm staying sober. And I wanted to do YouTube. I wanted to make videos. I'm like, I'm going to be like those women. I'm going to do that.
Wow. She goes a little bit into the early friendships that she had with some of the creators, and she name drops some of the creators there that she was friends with, and how some of it, of course, was really good, but then there was some high school pettiness going on here and there, and eventually they all just kind of went their separate ways. I know there's going to be some people disagreeing with me on this next point, but I actually think Michelle did a really good job interviewing Tati, because at this point, Michelle starts leading Tati down the path to talk about Dramageddon 2. The drama that she had with Jeffree Star and James Charles and Shane Dawson. So she gets Tati there, and Tati starts talking about how she became friends with James and Jeffree, and the fact that they had both approached her, that she had not reached out to them, that they both wanted to be a part of her life, and she accepted them into it.
But then as things grew and it got more cutthroat, it really was a lot of people coming into your life to see, who do you know that I can network with? What can I get out of this relationship? And that happened, absolutely. And something that I've never been able to really clear up, because I've tried to let the past stay in the past, but hey, we're kind of digging up a bunch of stuff right now. So back in the day, I did help James Charles quite a bit. And I think that there's been a big misconception that I somehow pursued the relationship with him. He was 17. He didn't have an established channel. He was the one hitting up me in my DMs. So a lot of people have felt that I somehow was pursuing him for a benefit. And that was a weird part of the story. And then the other relationship that kind of came to me that wasn't what I pursued, just to clear things up, is Jeffree Star. So how I met him the first time was I had a lunch set up with Laura Lee, and we were going to Cheesecake Factory and just going to kind of hang out and get to know each other a little bit better. And literally 15 minutes before the lunch, she calls me and is like, hey, just heads up, Jeffree's coming. So we all went to lunch, and it blew my mind. And this is something I'll say to his credit. We sat down, and he had told me that he had heard through the rumor mill that someone had been spreading some pretty nasty rumors about me, and that he didn't judge people until he got to know them. And then Laura was like, yeah, I heard the same rumor, and Manny knows about this, and Patrick knows about this. And I'm like, well, I have 5 girlfriends that have told me the same story, so this person is clearly spreading a lot of lies. And that was upsetting, but also bonded us in that instant. I was like, oh my gosh, the person that maybe I had judged that I thought was really scary in front of me was so cool, intelligent, charismatic. I immediately liked him a lot. And I was like, that's so awesome that you're not going to listen to a rumor and you want to get to know me. Okay, we're really different, but like, let's get to know each other.
The things that Tati reveals about Bye Sister and No More Lies and all of that period of time, it's really fascinating, but it's also very long. So I can't really play you just such a long clip of it. I highly recommend that you click on it down below and watch the entire thing. But what I found interesting was that if you saw my very recent video about this whole thing, I was listening to Tati talk about it, and I found it interesting that there wasn't a single time where I was like, okay, this doesn't match up with the month of research that I did into the timeline of everything that happened. Everything is matching up. So first, it was validating for me. Obviously, I was like, oh, okay, I'm glad everything matches up. But it also reminded me of the contrast of Jaclyn Hill when she's talking about what happened with her lipstick launch and how we have evidence that it didn't go down that way. And she really was trying to rewrite history of what happened with her hairy lipsticks. Tati didn't seem to be doing that. Everything just seemed to mesh in and just add to the story rather than contradict anything that we know to be true, which I found very interesting. Like I said, I'm not going to play that whole part because it's really long and I don't think that that's right to clip that big of a chunk, but I'll play a couple of select parts for you.
A lot of people want to say like, well, why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you if things are of that nature and they're not affecting you directly, you can't. I felt like I needed to cut ties publicly. I didn't like how he was behaving. I was very clear about that. Looking back, were a lot of things fed to me that I don't know were true. Yeah. You know, if you hear that YouTube executives are going to be deplatforming someone, and you should definitely make sure that you keep your distance because this is happening and it could take you down too. Like, yeah, you're going to like lose a little sleep over that. Like, so you uploaded the video, and did you go in reading the comments? Do you decide, okay, I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to close my laptop and walk away and do my life? Yeah. Like, yeah. What was the aftermath of that entire? I laid in bed. I love that for you. I could not believe that this happened. Like, I know people will say like, you chose to sat down, you did this, like you had a choice, and I did. And I made that choice. But it did seem like you were, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but it just based on what you're telling me, it seemed like there was some sort of manipulation into you creating it. It felt like that. Yeah. And, it still does. But people, I think, don't understand. Like, even when I did, I think it was like a year later, because everything had been kicked up again and I was being blamed again for so much. And I'm like, this is making me crazy. Like, I really feel like I need to speak my side. When I made that last video about this situation, I never said, hey, none of these allegations are true. Like, what I regretted was that it blew up into this big circus, that I took things publicly that I should have taken privately, that I should have investigated more thoroughly instead of trusting people that were close to me. I had regrets over all of those things, but I never said, hey, and it was all a lie and none of it happened. Like, I never did that.
One thing that made me really sad to hear was that Tati said that she hasn't formally celebrated her birthday since the infamous birthday dinner of 2019.
I'm just like, oh my God, time and place. And you did it at my birthday dinner.
It's still like, it's been 5 years, about 5 years, since the infamous birthday party dinner. Which I haven't celebrated a birthday in 5 years. That's something that, are you serious? That's like on the shelf. Yeah, like that was the last birthday party I had, and it was horrific.
Hopefully one day that changes. I mean, to have something like that have such a grip on you that you can't even celebrate your birthday makes me really sad, and I'm hoping that that changes. Another piece that I found fascinating that I personally did not know, I don't know if this was already out there or not, but I didn't know it, was the details about her lawsuit with Clark Swanson about Halo Beauty, which is her vitamin company. Clark was her business partner when she got into Halo Beauty. He was a friend of her husband, James, and and the three of them went into business together, and Clark really was the vitamin guy. And I personally believe that the reason why Tati started a vitamin company first instead of a makeup company was probably due to Clark Swanson's expertise in that field. So this is what Tati says about the financials behind that.
And then a minority partner in Halo Beauty, Clark Swanson, sent a demand letter threatening to file a lawsuit if we didn't give him $30 million, a third of Tati Beauty. What else did he want? $30 million more. There's more. A third of Tati Beauty and all of Halo Beauty. So it's like, give me this or I'm going to file a lawsuit.
And I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm like, who the heck would sign a contract like that? If Tati's representing this accurately, it just doesn't make sense that what Clark is saying is something that Tati and James would agree to. It's just weird. So if you're not familiar, if you don't know how that story shook out, was that it seems like through the settlement that Clark got Halo. Tati is pretty much completely removed from the Halo Beauty Instagram. There's only a couple pictures where she's like printed in the top of a box, but like her individual self is gone from the Instagram. So it looks like Clark got Halo and Tati is going to have Tati Beauty, which she's working very hard to relaunch. Then they talk about their connections to spirituality and stuff like that, but that was really the part that I thought was relevant to our beauty space. But again, highly recommend watching the entire podcast. You can absolutely listen to it. You don't need to have your eyes on it. It's a fascinating watch or listen. Since the Youthforia shade range debacle, there has been more attention on the expansion of shade ranges in makeup than there has been in a very long time. If you've been a part of our beauty space for a while, you probably remember the video that has gone down in history, Jackie Aina and Alyssa Ashley calling out Tarte on the shade range of their Tarte Shape Tape foundation. That set off kind of a firestorm of brands being held accountable for just not even trying to accommodate for many shades. And I know there's a lot of people with varied understanding of why that's important. So I will link some of my videos that I've done in the past if you're curious why it's important to have a larger shade range and why arguments like, well, there's more white people are not good arguments. To developing a shade range. That's the most common one I hear is that, well, the majority of the population is white, so we should have more white shades. That's not a good argument because you can actually, in manufacturing, make a smaller number of different shades. It just doesn't make any sense that you just would just not include an entire group of people business-wise, financially, logically, to not have a shade range that is inclusive to as many people as possible. And we can see evidence that this is a great business decision in if you go to Sephora's website right now and you sort their foundations or concealers by the most popular, by the highest rated, you will find that the ones with the best shade ranges are the ones that are selling the best on that platform. But again, if you want to know more, a couple of videos will be linked down below to give you more information. Anyway, so back in January of 2018, Jackie and Alyssa made this video and it set off this big discussion on shade range inclusivity. But what happened is that Jackie started getting tagged a lot in every single post about shade range and she got tired. And about a year after the video she did with Alyssa about Tarte, she put out a statement and she said, "For the love of all that is right in the world, please stop asking me my thoughts on every single dreadful foundation launch that looks obviously horrendous. Why do people revel in seeing Black women get riled up every time they aren't included in stuff? Is it fun to witness?" And then later she posted another tweet that said, "I'm not the industry attack dog that will just yell and rave to entertain y'all. Why would you want to upset someone on demand constantly?" So since Jackie was like, you know what, I've had enough of this. This is not good for me. This is not good for my mental health. There hasn't been a creator to step into those shoes until Gloria George, who rightfully and very, it was everywhere, called out Euphoria on their pitch black foundation that did not match humans. Again, my full video on that situation will be linked down below. I highly recommend. Golloria isn't the only one. There are a bunch of other creators that are also doing the same thing, talking about whether foundations match them or not. The story we're talking about today has more of a happy ending, but in the product report tomorrow, I do have a story that really shows that we have a long way to go. But for today, we're going to talk about Golloria's interactions with Hailey Bieber and Rhode Beauty regarding their blushes. On August 5th, Golloria tried out the new Rhode blushes. If you're not familiar with Golloria, I do want to make sure you know that she doesn't just give negative reviews. She's very fair. She calls it like it is. If it seems to work for her, she says it works for her. If it doesn't work for her, it doesn't work for her. And she spares no one. It doesn't matter if they're a celebrity, an influencer, a small brand, a big brand. She just is honest about what she sees and whether it works or not. So on August 5th, she tried out the new Rhode blushes, and this is what happened.
Eucerin. These are the brand new Rhode blushes. I bought these 3 shades because I feel like these would be the 3 shades that would work on dark skin. First shade we're going in with is Juice Box. Let's just go directly on the face. Let's blend her out. This ash is bigger than me. Literally zooming in so you guys can see the sick work. Spicy Mar is a really pretty orange color. Let's see what Spicy Mar gives. Let's blend Spicy Mar out. These can't be the blushes y'all love. Okay. Toasted Teddy. Let's see what Toasted Teddy gives. Is the Teddy that's toasted in the room with us? I just feel like in 2024, if you're gonna drop anything complexion, that it should be able to work for any skin tone and complexion, right? Now the ash was really serious. Hands up, keep them up. She needs some work.
Apparently, she was getting some comments saying that she wasn't applying the blushes right, so the next day, she uploaded this video showing different application methods.
The brush is clean. We have Juice Box. This is what Juice Box looks like on me. To the people that say add more, okay, let's add more. Oh, it looks worse, shocking. Going in with Juice Box directly on my face, blending it out with my fingers. This is what Juice Box looks like on me. Still very ashy. Let's add more. Still very ashy. Clean brush. Spicy Marg on a brush. This is what Spicy Marg looks like on me on a brush. Still very ashy. Adding more. Still very ashy. Still very ashy. Clean brush. Here's Toasted Teddy on a brush. This is what Toasted Teddy looks like on me. Kind of disappears. Adding some more Toasted Teddy. This is what Toasted Teddy looks like on me. Going in with Toasted Teddy on some skin with my fingers on this side. Kind of disappears with your fingers. We're gonna go in with some more Toasted Teddy. And this is what the Toasted Teddy side looks like with your fingers. Not really much there. You guys keep saying, well, why does this blush look different on this person? Oh, well, I saw this person try it and it worked for them. For one, I don't know why it looks different on that person. And for two, I have a very different complexion than most people. And not every product is gonna look the same on dark skin because there are different tones of dark skin. What works on someone else may not work on me. And lastly, I think it's really important that we actually sit down and talk about the bigger issue at hand. The colorism, it has to stop. I read the comments, and I'm sure so many other dark-skinned South Pseudo girls also are reading these comments, and the way that you guys are actually very hateful and violent. So figure it out.
I just want to take a moment to condemn the comment that she's replying to, because another thing I see a lot in the comments underneath my videos when I talk about this stuff is that there isn't racism anymore and that people are just making up things or whatever. This is why. This is evidence that there are horrible people out there saying horrible things to real human beings. I understand Golloria is an influencer, but she's a person. And the fact that someone would comment this to her is disgusting. disgusting, and it happens. And this, I'm sure, is one of many comments that she's gotten similar, especially during the Euphoria debacle when her face was just everywhere calling them out. I can't even imagine the horrible things she had to read during that time period. So I just wanted to take a minute to recognize that ignorance is real, and she's reacting to something that is very real right now in 2024. So back to Rhode. Now, Rhode has now seen this. They've seen that the blush doesn't work on her. They've seen her try to make it work. It's not working. So at this point, Rhode has a couple of choices of what they can do. I feel like from what I've seen on the outside that a lot of brands choose choice number one, which is just to ignore it and keep doing what they do and moving on. Rhode chose choice, which was to reach out to Golloria and talk to her and hire her as a shade consultant to help them to make blushes that were more inclusive. Here's Golloria again explaining what happened.
All she does is complain. This is why I complain. This is why I complain. You see how beautifully flushed I am without looking ashy? Oh, and you thought we were done? There's another one. This is why you advocate for yourself. You see what happens whenever you're not complacent? And that's what we call redemption. Yeah. Hailey, thank you for reaching out and listening to me and treating me like a human. This is redemption.
And here is the comment on the screen where Golloria specifically says that Hailey called her personally on the phone, she took accountability, and that she listened to her and also compensated her for shade consulting. In the end, makeup is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something that brings us joy. And I really commend brands that want to make sure that everybody gets to have fun with their makeup. And I just really hope that as this awareness continues, that more brands will get it right on the first shot. In business news today, we're talking Selena Gomez. Can you imagine what it must be like to be checks notes, 32 years old and a billionaire? I don't know what that would have been like. I'm thinking back to when I was 32. That was not my journey. It's still not. But Selena Gomez knows what that's like because she is now being called a billionaire according to Bloomberg magazine. They have determined, through whatever means they determine, that Selena Gomez is worth $1.3 billion. Of course, you know, Rare Beauty is not the only outlet where she gets her money. She also has her recurring role on Only Murderers in the Building, which is a very popular show. She has her music. I'm sure she takes sponsorships as well. I think that she does. But according to this article, the vast majority of her wealth was built through Rare Beauty. And that's it. That's the end of this story. It's a short one. Selena Gomez is stupid rich. That's a story. Moving on. Speaking of stupid rich, TikTok Shop is making brands stupid rich. They are crushing it over there. TikTok Shop has become the QVC of 2024, and influencers are really pushing products. There is an article that, of course, will be linked down below from WWD where they break down the top 10 brands over on TikTok Shop, the brands that have been raking in the most money. And I thought we would go over them because I've said this before, I'm not a big TikTok person. I am definitely not a TikTok Shop, TikTok Live kind of person. So a lot of these brands I've never even heard of. They actually remind me, some of them, of things you might see on Amazon just randomly. And like, it's got a bunch of high rating, but I don't understand why, because it just looks like an ordinary product. So you'll have to educate me on some of these. See how many of them you know and see if you can beat me. Let's start with number 10. So number 10 is one that I've heard of. One Size Beauty has sold $6.5 million worth of product on TikTok Shop. Their number one bestseller is their On Till Dawn mattifying waterproof setting spray. Not a shocker there. It's $30 and they've sold about $1 million worth of these setting sprays. Moving on to number 9, another brand I've heard of, The Ordinary. They have sold $7.9 million worth of product. Remember, this is just number 9 at $7.9 million worth of product. Their bestseller over there is the Glycolic Acid 7% Exfoliating Toner. It's about $11 for that product, and they've sold $4.7 million just of that product. Number 8 is the first brand I've never heard of. It is called Bitvay. They've sold $7.9 million of product, including their bestseller, which is the C2 Water Flosser, $25.54, and they've sold $2.1 million worth of water flossers. What is happening? I don't know. I don't get it. How do you demo a water flosser like well on TikTok Shop? Like, are people like over their sink, like flossing and spitting? Like, I'm not sure, but they're doing it. That's the fact. They're doing it. Number 7, another brand I haven't heard of. It's called Cocoa Mints Beauty. They've sold $9 million worth of product, and their bestseller is the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Rice Plus Probiotics SPF 50 Plus. It's an $18 product, $1.6 million of that product sold. Asian sunscreens are known for being amazing, so that one doesn't surprise me at all. Number 6, another brand I've never heard of called Go Pure. They have sold $10.5 million in products on TikTok Shop. Their bestseller is the Tighten and Lift Neck Cream for about $38, and they've sold $7.1 million worth of product, just that one neck cream. I had somebody leave a comment the other day and they were like, can you explain to me what an influencer is? Because I just don't get that. This is it. This is what an influencer is, and this is why brands like them, is because of things like this. Number 5, at just slightly higher of a net sales, we have Canvas Beauty brand at $10.6 million in sales. Their bestseller is a body glaze for $17.50 with $8.6 million sold. Someone explain to me why this is amazing. Like, how is this selling that much? I'm looking at it like, what is going on? They must be doing something. There must be something about this product that they're showing in TikTok Shop that I just don't get. Anyway, okay, number 4 I do get though, because I actually used a very old classic version of this to curl my hair today. Whenever you see curls in my hair, it's because of the Beach Waver. I have a really old one that I got from Birchbox Shop many years ago. So Beach Waver, I completely get this one. Basically, you clip your hair in the bottom of it and you push the button and it curls your hair up for you. And then you hold it and you just let it go and it spins both ways. The new ones are definitely, they're cooler because there's a lot more control over how it works and everything. But mine still work great, so I haven't upgraded to a new one. Anyway, the new ones, they've sold $11.3 million of total product on the TikTok Shop. The B1 rotating curling iron in Midnight Rose specifically is their bestseller. It's $72.71. They've sold $2.6 million worth of product over there. We're down to number 3. And number 2 are both brands I've never heard of. We have Wavy Talk, $12.6 million in product. They've sold the single thermal brush 1.5 inch for about $30, $2.4 million worth of that product sold. And Guru Nanda, $14.1 million sold total. Their bestseller is oil pulling, and I had to look that up. From what I'm understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not familiar. This is an oil pulling oral rinse coconut plus mint product. It's about $10, and what you do is you put some in your mouth and you swish it around in your mouth for a specific period of time, for a while, and you like push it between your teeth, and I think that's why it's called pulling. It's because you're pulling it around your mouth in between, you know, your teeth and your gums and everything, and then you spit it out, and it's supposed to be really good for your oral hygiene. I don't know. It's an Ayurvedic thing that I'm not familiar with, but if you are and you think that it's something I should try, then maybe I will get this and try it. It's only $10. It must be doing something because they've sold $8.9 million worth of this product. Blows my mind. But what blew my mind the most, I think, was number 1. I'm honestly shocked. And it is a brand I've heard of, but I'm shocked. Tarte Cosmetics has sold $21.5 million worth of product on TikTok Shop, and their number 1 bestseller is the Trending Trio. $34.65. They sold $7.7 million worth of this set. So I knew 4 of these brands out of 10. Did you beat me? Do you know more than 4? Let me know in the comments. And in legal news this week, we have a doozy for you this week. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Britney Spears, iconic. So important to so many people's growing up. People, you know, love Britney. She's been through a lot. A lot of people grew up with her, watched all these things go down with her, watched her, you know, get out of the conservatorship. She's a huge part of American celebrity culture. And her fragrances have been a huge part of a lot of people's lives for a very long time. Her first fragrance, called Curious, back in 2004, broke records for her parent company, Elizabeth Arden. Now, for the purpose purposes of this story, we're going to say the parent company is Revlon because that is who this legal story is about. But just know how it works. So Revlon is the top, and then underneath them is Elizabeth Arden. So after this initial launch, Britney fragrances were freaking everywhere. They broke all kinds of records. They've been popular forever. She launched like 38, 39 more fragrances through Revlon and this partnership. I will show you the two that I have. I personally have Secret Fantasy and Midnight Fantasy, and I'm ashamed to see how much product is left in these. I don't even know if they smell good anymore because they literally sit up on my shelf and then I forget about them because they're just really pretty. And I forgot to use them all these years. They've just been sitting there. So they probably just don't even smell right anymore. Anyway, her latest fragrance was called Candy Fantasy, and that's the one that launched this past summer. So needless to say, the Britney Fragrances brand has brought Revlon and Elizabeth Arden so much money over the years. And of course, this is a contract they want to hold on to because it's extremely lucrative. Britney and or her team over at Britney Brands, they re-up their contract every 5 years. And since the contract started in 2004, 2024 is a re-up year. And Revlon was shocked to learn that Britney Brands was not re-upping the contract. They were moving somewhere else. But what they were more shocked to find out was that people on their own team, at least according to the lawsuit, that they actually orchestrated all of it behind the scenes. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me tell you what happened. First, I want to thank Karen for sending the actual legal document over to me so that I could look at it because all I was seeing was news reports. But because Karen sent me the actual document, I could really look into it. And with that disclaimer, not a lawyer, just a mom in my basement that's a complete nerd and loves to look into this stuff. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Would not present this information to you if I didn't think I had it correct, but again, not formally trained. So anyway, so this is what I learned from the document. Basically what happened so Britney Brands is up for signing this new contract with them, but there were 4 employees, according to the lawsuit, of course, that were working behind the scenes to get Britney Brands to go over to another company. And that company is called Give Back Beauty. They call it GBB on their website and also in the lawsuit. So Give Back Beauty is the formal name. And interestingly, there have been a lot of videos made recently about Blake Lively and the debacle of her movie launch and how she handled that. And that happened right after her hair care launch that we talked about here. And guess who is the powerhouse behind Blake Lively's Blake Brown Beauty? GBB. Guess who else GBB is the powerhouse behind? Florence by Mills, Millie Bobby Brown's cosmetic line. So I found that very fascinating. They also have a bunch of other fragrance companies. I'll put a list of them on the screen for you so you can see the other fragrance houses that they work with, or fragrance companies. I don't know if they're considered houses, but fragrance companies that they're in charge of. So these 4 employees that worked for Revlon and were really big up in just working on the Britney Spears fragrances. Their names are Vanessa, Dominic, Reed, and Ashley. Vanessa seems to be the head of everything. Allegedly, what they did was they went behind Revlon's back and shared what they call trade secrets with GBB. Revlon says that the 4 employees started working back as early as February of 2024 to do this, that they were all plotting to leave Revlon and go work for GBB and take Britney's deal with them. And this is despite also, according to Revlon, that they had signed contracts that said that they couldn't do this, that they were not allowed to share this information outside of the company, even after they stopped working there. I'm going to put on the screen for you 2 of the confidentiality agreements that Revlon says that specifically Vanessa and Dominic signed as far as what they were and were not allowed to do. With the information that allegedly Vanessa gave to GBB, GBB contacted Britney Brands and they were like, hey, I've heard Revlon is not doing very well. Remember they filed for bankruptcy a while ago? And guess what? Revlon, they're not going to do fragrances anymore. So you really don't want to stay with them. I'm paraphrasing, of course. You really don't want to stay with them. You want to go with us because we know what we're doing. We can definitely do better for you. And that supposedly they used the information that Vanessa got illegally from Revlon in order to pitch to Britney Brands. So really starts hitting the fan in the beginning of May 2024 when the employees start really making their plan of exit and they start taking all of this information and copying it, putting it on their laptops, on the hard drives, and printing things and all this, taking all this information, again, according to the lawsuit, and then bringing it over to GBB. This included business information, manufacturing processes, marketing plans, and financial details. And the reason why the lawsuit says they did this is that with this information, GBB could then completely replicate all of Revlon's processes very quickly. If Britney brands decided to go over there, they could just copy everything that Revlon had done. The lawsuit specifically says that Vanessa allegedly accessed and copied over 250 confidential files from Revlon related to the fragrance business strategies, licensing terms, and employee compensation without any business justification, intending to use this information in discussion with GBB. And that's when she went, again, according to the lawsuit, and recruited these 3 other people to go with her. Speaking of the other employees, let's talk about Ashley. So Ashley, who apparently was the lead on Juicy Couture fragrances, she, again, according to the lawsuit, covering my butt here, downloaded confidential Revlon files to an external hard drive right before she left the company, allegedly to, quote, aid GBB in acquiring Revlon's fragrance businesses, including Britney brands. So maybe she was trying to get other accounts to go over to GBB as well. This is the quote directly from the suit. It says, the only remaining detail was Ms. Spears' signature on the contract her team had fully negotiated and sent to Revlon for execution. What neither Revlon nor Elizabeth Arden knew, however, was that Revlon employees were moving to GBB and intent on taking the Britney brand's relationship with them. Revlon believes without the stolen information, they wouldn't have been able to get Britney brands to join them, but because they had all this, it was very enticing for them, and that's how GBB got the deal, supposedly. And even more underhanded, according to the lawsuit, they say that these employees, this whole time from February until they all left their jobs in May, they were like telling Revlon, oh, everything's fine, Britney's gonna sign, it's gonna be good, we're on track. And they knew very well, according to the lawsuit, that it wasn't going to be fine. Then the suit shows how all 4 employees are now employees of GBB. The lawsuit says it is entirely illogical and in fact incredible that Romeo, Mulville, and Foss coincidentally resigned from Revlon within weeks of kids Vanessa's departures. I like to call people by their first names in stories, so I know this is a little bit off, but basically when Vanessa left, the other 3 within a very short period of time all put in their resignations, and they're saying that's absolutely ridiculous, that there's no way they weren't in cahoots with each other. Revlon claims that these actions have caused and will continue to cause significant financial harm amounting to tens of millions of dollars. They're looking for compensation and punitive damages, as well as an injunction to prevent GBB and their former employees from further using the confidential information that they took from Revlon. But wait, there's more, because there always is. So GBB was founded by this guy. He's an Italian guy named Corrado Brondi. And among other jobs in his past, he had once worked with the European arm of Revlon. The lawsuit says, quote, Brondi knows how Revlon works by virtue of his past dealings, knows how closely Revlon guards its confidential and proprietary information. What? The other side of this is that GBB has given a statement to Billboard magazine because, of course, Britney's a music artist, so all of this is blowing up in Billboard magazine. GBB says, quote, the claims that Give Back Beauty engaged in any type of improper conduct are entirely without merit and are no way supported by the facts. We will defend both our company and our employees against these allegations and will respond more fully to them through the appropriate legal channels. And when they do, I will be watching and I will let you know what happens because this is something else. In our lighthearted story of the week, we're going to go on that music theme and we're going to talk about how music affects advertising. We all know a good song can really do wonders for an advertising campaign. When that song gets in your head or that slogan gets in your head, it really does lead to more sales. So finding that perfect song is so important. And if you hit it wrong, it's not going to be good. It's not. A lot of brands will ride on jingles, and one of them that Maybelline rode on forever was "Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline," right?
New Great Wear Budge Proof Makeup. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
In 2015, for whatever reason, Maybelline decided to retire that slogan. They replaced it with the catchphrase, "Make it happen." Yeah, I don't remember that either. And I do this for my job. I didn't even know that was their catchphrase for most of the entirety of my channel. For the most part, I did not know that. Apparently, "Make it happen" was a thing. So I do this for a living, and I didn't even know that. So anyway, that's just a testament to how poorly the slogan went. So what they're doing now is they are bringing back "Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline," but they're trying to reinvent it for a Gen Z audience, because of course they are. They hired DJ Honeybee as well as a musician named Rudy Martinez to use products in order to create a new beat for this slogan.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Also released on their socials a commercial that used a revamped version of the slogan. I'll play that whole thing for you.
Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's...
Hey, Girlianas. Oh my gosh.
Hi. Girls, you all look fantastic.
Maybe it's really good lighting. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe I'm obsessed with the Maybelline Sun Kisser blush.
Maybe it's the baseline.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe we should ask the internet.
Yes, do it.
What's your maybe?
Maybe it's Maybelline.
One thing I noticed right away as a person from the generation of X, that in the commercial and in all of this, where are the Gen X people? You know, the people that grew up with the slogan and supported it and bought the makeup and used the makeup in the 90s. Where are we? Like, we're used to getting forgotten until the street lights come on and it's time to come home. Like, we're used to that, but still, you'd think you include at least one Gen X person in there, but they didn't. But that's okay. I'm not upset. I'm not bitter. There's plenty of other brands I can buy from. I get it. Gen Z and millennials, they're the big generations that are pushing marketing right now. They're the ones that are on socials. Like, I get it, but I'm gonna try not to take it personally. And that, my friend, was what's up in makeup this week. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, thank you as always to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you for all of your submissions this week. I appreciate you with my entire heart and soul. Thank you so much for the time you took out of your day to submit to the group. You are awesome. Our live chat today will take place at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to be hanging out, talking about makeup. If you'd like to join us, cool. If you can't, it's easy to listen to as a podcast by just going over to your subscription feed. If you're subscribed, it's just going to be hanging out there. Super easy. Or down below, there's a link to the What's Up in Makeup Live Chat podcast. That is where I throw all of the podcasts, so you can subscribe to that. So that's another way you can find live chat. You can also find it through my channel page and the live tab. That has all of my live chats there as well, in case you miss it. But if you would like to hang out more right now because you're not ready to go, I would love to have you hang out longer. YouTube should be recommending a couple videos over here for you. The bottom one is going to be last week's top news segment. It's going to be right there. YouTube's going to pick the top video based on what you've been watching recently, what they think you want to watch. But if you have to go, I'll get it. It is no problem at all. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did, and mad love to you, and I will see you in a video very soon.